During a congressional oversight hearing, Attorney General Merrick Garland addressed unprecedented attacks against the U.S. Justice Department.
Let me be clear. If anyone threatens public servants with violence, we will hold them accountable. And we will continue to protect our democratic institutions like this one, and to bring to justice all those criminally responsible for the January 16th attack on our democracy.
All right, so Merrick Garland, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, because, these days, a bunch of youngsters out there, they don't really pay attention to the news that much. But back in the day, Merrick Garland was in line to be on the Supreme Court. Today, he's Attorney General, and let me say in no uncertain terms, that motherfucker sometimes don't know what that motherfucker's talking about. Why do I say that? Well, because he made this statement that the DOJ does not target individuals. And he said it. Now, he said it because Donald Trump, of course, he just got convicted of 34 felonies, campaign violations, forging documents to cover up the hush money payment that went to Stormy Daniels, which, let me say again, bad idea to pay a porn star to keep her mouth shut. Just saying that. All right. Now, let's talk about the DOJ targeting people, because some people may not be aware of this, but in the United States today, we have 8% of white Americans have a felony conviction. 33% of black males have a felony conviction. Let that sink in. Now, why is that? Well, that's because in the United States, we have at least a two-tier justice system. This idea that the DOJ doesn't target people, absolutely fucking incorrect. Absolutely, they target people, and it's systemic. It's systemic, all right? If you look at the way that African Americans are prosecuted, how they're incarcerated, the types of charges that go against them, you can see this in no uncertain terms. I've talked again and again about this thing called ghost dope. So I served 7.5 years in federal prison. You arrest someone, some crackhead someplace, you bring him in, you're about to give him a shitload of time. What can you do for us? I don't know. What do you want me to do? Well, if you've got anyone that you can tell on, perhaps you won't go to prison that long, and you can get your little happy ass out and do more drugs. More drugs, more drugs, more drugs. He starts to tell the cops about all these drugs he's bought, whether he's purchased them or not. So he says, I bought it from Bill down the street, 8 ball a day over a year. Then law enforcement arrests another guy. Have you heard of Bill down the street? Maybe. What's going on? If you bought anything from Bill, if you could tell us what you bought and how much, we may be able to cut you a deal. Yeah, I know Bill. Yeah, he's my number one hookup. Yeah, he's my number one hookup. He, yeah. I bought like 3 keys from Bill, yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. 3 keys, huh? We think you're full of shit, but we're going to write it down anyway. Because of that, they've now got 2 people that can testify against Bill. They indict Bill for drug conspiracy, raid Bill's home, don't find any drugs at all, but those charges stick and those charges convict Bill because of the way conspiracy charges and indictments operate. Okay, so prisons are filled with people serving time for ghost dope, mostly African Americans. Now you have a shitload of meth heads that are serving time for that same stuff as well. As I said before, that comes back to the systemic type of idea. Law enforcement, if you think about it, and most people will understand what I'm getting at here, if you go into a city and you make enough wrong turns, you will end up in a neighborhood where you do not want to be. And you'll be aware of this as you're driving down the street. You'll see more and more bars start to appear on the windows of the businesses. And at that point, you're like, oh, I'm fucked up now. Those neighborhoods typically are ethnic neighborhoods, black neighborhoods, all right? Law enforcement is very good about making sure that crime stays in those areas, that crime does not bleed over into the white areas, okay? Now, because crime is in those areas to begin with, those areas tend to stay very poor. very poor. There's a reason that more blacks are prosecuted than any other race in the United States, and that's typically because they cannot afford proper representation. If you're looking at federal charges, federal indictments, the federal prosecution system has a conviction rate of over 90%. They have a guilty plea rate of like 87%, okay? No one takes it to trial, everyone pleads out, because if you try to take it to trial in the federal system, what happens is they indict you, they'll tell you, hey, you're looking at 50 years. Then they'll come with a plea agreement that says, hey, you sign off and admit that you're guilty, we'll just give you 12. Well, if the idiot is crazy enough to try to take that to trial, they will absolutely give him every one of those 50 years, and they will convict him because it's federal court and because juries absolutely believe the federal government. So we're talking about this two-tier justice system. It's amazing to me that Merrick Garland can say that the DOJ does not target anyone when you look at cases like Randy Weaver. Randy Weaver was at Ruby Ridge. The federal authorities, they not only targeted the guy, but they killed some of his family. Sniper took out his wife and baby, I believe. The reason for the arrest is they said that Randy had illegal weapons. One of the ATF guys literally took one of Randy's shotguns, took it down to a machine shop, and told the guy to saw off the barrel until it became illegal. And that's one of the ways that they convicted or prosecuted Randy Weaver. And all this is in court. All right. So this idea that the DOJ doesn't target people, absolutely incorrect. And let's talk about Trump for a second. Yes, Trump did that bullshit. There's no fucking doubt. He did that. But, yeah, see, here's that but. The but is Trump's not the only one that's done that. Hillary Clinton with the Steele dossier, she pulls the exact same bullshit. She's never prosecuted whatsoever. She has to pay a fine. When Hunter Biden's laptop came out, there were 51 intelligence officers that actually signed off that the laptop was fake, that it was a Russian plant, nothing on it could be believed. Well, guess what? No, that laptop was real. Everything on it was real. We know that now. Hunter Biden's admitted that bullshit. But no one's been prosecuted for interfering with an election. Two-tier justice system, at least a two-tiered justice system.